If you're over 45 and your brain doesn't feel the way it used to, you're not imagining it. Focus slips more easily. Mental stamina is lower. Stress hits harder. And even on good days, clarity feels fragile. Most people assume this is just aging, or burnout, or lack of motivation. But something deeper is happening. Your nervous system is slowly losing coordination, not breaking, drifting. And that drift shows up as brain fog, emotional flatness, slower thinking, and reduced resilience. That's why brain support peptides are suddenly everywhere. Semax, Selank, Dihexa. They're marketed as cognitive enhancers or neuroprotective compounds. You'll hear phrases like boost brain power, rewire your mind, or unlock hidden cognitive potential. But almost nobody slows down long enough to explain what these compounds actually do inside aging brain tissue. And even fewer people explain why results vary so wildly from person to person. So today, we're slowing everything down. No hype, no protocols, no miracle claims, just biology. We're going to talk about what really changes in your brain after midlife, how these peptides interact with that process, where their limits are, and why supporting cognition is less about forcing performance and more about restoring coordination. This is educational only. And to understand brain peptides, you first have to understand what happens to your nervous system as you get older. Most people think cognitive decline is sudden. They imagine something breaks, memory fades, focus disappears, motivation drops. But that's not how it works. The brain doesn't fail overnight. It slowly loses flexibility. When you're younger, your nervous system is highly adaptable. Neurotransmitters fire efficiently. Blood flow responds quickly. Growth factors support synaptic plasticity. Inflammation stays relatively low. Repair mechanisms still function. After midlife, subtle changes start stacking. Blood flow becomes less responsive. Low-grade inflammation quietly rises. Neurotransmitter balance shifts. Mitochondrial energy production declines. Growth factor signaling weakens. None of this feels dramatic at first. You still function. You still work. You still remember things. But everything starts requiring more effort. You lose mental stamina. You recover more slowly from stress. Your emotional range narrows. Concentration becomes fragile. And most people assume this is psychological. They blame motivation. They blame sleep. They blame stress. But underneath it all, biology is changing. The brain becomes less adaptive, not broken, less coordinated. That distinction matters because brain peptides don't create intelligence. They attempt to support signaling inside a system that's already under load. That's the real story. Let's start with Semax. Semax is a synthetic peptide originally developed in Russia as a neuroprotective compound. Structurally, it's derived from a fragment of adrenocorticotropic hormone, but it doesn't act like a hormone. Instead, Semax influences brain-derived neurotrophic factor, often called BDNF. BDNF is one of the brain's primary plasticity signals. It helps neurons form connections, strengthen synapses, and adapt to new information. It also plays a role in mood regulation and stress resilience. When BDNF signaling declines, learning slows. emotional flexibility drops, cognitive fatigue increases. Semax appears to increase BDNF expression in certain brain regions. It also influences dopamine and serotonin pathways while reducing inflammatory signaling. In practical terms, Semax often feels like mental clarity, not stimulation, not adrenaline, more like the background noise drops. People describe smoother thinking, improved focus, and better emotional stability. But here's something important. Semax doesn't force cognition. It supports signaling pathways that already exist. If your brain is inflamed, underfueled, sleep-deprived, or chronically stressed, Semax won't override that. It works best when the system is still responsive. Think of it as improving signal quality, not amplifying volume. That's also why effects vary so much. Some people feel noticeable clarity, others feel almost nothing. That variability isn't random. It reflects how intact their neurobiology already is. Now let's talk about Selank. Selank is structurally related to tufsin, a naturally occurring immune-modulating peptide, but its most studied effects are neurological. Where Semax leans toward cognitive performance, Selank leans toward emotional regulation. Selank influences GABA-ergic signaling. GABA is the brain's primary calming neurotransmitter. It quiets neural overactivity and helps regulate anxiety, stress response, and emotional balance. As people age, GABA signaling often weakens. Stress feels louder. Sleep becomes lighter. Anxiety rises more easily. Selank appears to enhance GABA receptor sensitivity, while also influencing serotonin and dopamine balance. It doesn't sedate, it stabilizes. People often describe Selank as reducing background anxiety, smoothing emotional reactivity, and improving stress tolerance. Not numbness, not euphoria, just calm clarity. Selank also shows anti-inflammatory effects in neural tissue and may support immune-brain communication. That matters because chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the biggest drivers of cognitive aging. Inflammation interferes with neurotransmission. It disrupts mitochondrial energy production. It impairs neuroplasticity. So Selank's value isn't about feeling good, it's about reducing noise inside the system. Semax improves signal. Selank reduces interference. That's why these two peptides are often discussed together. They support different sides of the same problem. If this kind of biology-first explanation is helpful, take a moment to like the video. It helps Midlife Peptide Intelligence reach people who want clarity instead of hype. Now let's move into more experimental territory. Dihexa. Dihexa is fundamentally different from Semax and Selank. While those peptides support existing signaling pathways, Dihexa directly interacts with hepatocyte growth factor and its receptor, c-Met. This pathway plays a major role in synaptogenesis, the formation of new neural connections. In laboratory models, Dihexa dramatically increased synaptic density and improved cognitive performance in animals with neurodegenerative damage. That's where the excitement comes from. Dihexa doesn't just optimize signaling. It appears to promote structural connectivity. That sounds powerful, and it is. But it also comes with much greater uncertainty. Growth factor pathways don't only operate in the brain. They affect many tissues. They influence cell proliferation, interact with oncogenic signaling, which means Dihexa sits firmly in experimental territory. Human safety data is extremely limited. Long-term effects are unknown. This isn't cosmetic optimization. This is direct manipulation of growth pathways. That doesn't automatically make it dangerous, but it does demand caution, especially in aging bodies, where cellular regulation is already less precise. People are drawn to Dihexa because it promises regeneration. But regeneration isn't free. Growth always carries trade-offs. That's why Dihexa should never be approached casually. Now zoom out for a moment. All three of these peptides target different layers of brain function. Semax supports neuroplastic signaling. Selank stabilizes emotional regulation and stress response. Dihexa attempts to rebuild synaptic architecture. But here's what almost nobody explains. None of these peptides fix the foundations. They don't restore blood flow. They don't repair mitochondrial dysfunction. They don't reverse insulin resistance in the brain. They don't resolve sleep fragmentation. They don't rebuild circadian rhythm. They operate on top of those systems, which is why so many people experience inconsistent results. They chase peptides while ignoring biology. They stack compounds without addressing inflammation. They try to optimize cognition while running on 4 hours of sleep and chronic stress. That doesn't work, because cognitive aging isn't a single problem. It's multiple systems drifting out of alignment at once. Blood-brain barrier integrity declines. Microglial activation increases. Mitochondrial output drops. Neurotransmitter synthesis slows. Hormonal signaling shifts. Peptides can help modulate parts of this, but they don't replace coordination. This is where expectations matter. Brain peptides are not intelligence upgrades. They are signaling support tools. They help when the system is still capable of responding. They do very little when foundational biology is ignored. A smarter way to think about brain support isn't what peptide should I take? It's how to restore coordination, reduce inflammation, improve sleep quality, support mitochondrial health, stabilize blood sugar, lower chronic cortisol, preserve physical movement. Then peptides become amplifiers. Without that foundation, they become expensive experiments. There are also risks that deserve respect. Most peptides are loosely regulated. Purity varies widely. Dosing consistency is unpredictable. Long-term human safety data is missing for many compounds. And growth factor peptides like Dihexa introduce theoretical cancer risk due to their signaling pathways. If you have a history of cancer or elevated risk, stimulating growth pathways is not something to approach lightly. This isn't fear. This is biology. The truth most people don't want to hear is that cognitive aging can't be hacked. It can be supported. Semax helps signaling. Selank calms regulation. Dihexa attempts structural repair. But none of them override sleep deprivation, chronic stress, inflammation, or metabolic dysfunction. They don't replace lifestyle. They don't replace time. They don't replace system-wide coherence. If you remember only this, Semax improves neural communication. Selank stabilizes emotional regulation. Dihexa attempts synaptic rebuilding. Everything else is marketing. If this helped you understand brain peptides differently, consider subscribing to Midlife Peptide Intelligence. This channel focuses on aging, cognition, and recovery through regulation and real biology, not shortcuts. You're not losing your mind. Your nervous system is adapting, an understanding that changes everything. Brain health after midlife isn't about becoming sharper than your younger self. It's about preserving resilience. It's about maintaining flexibility. It's about slowing regulatory decline. Peptides don't create miracles. They support systems. They work gradually, and they only help when biology is still capable of responding. Understanding that changes expectations, and smarter expectations lead to better decisions. Take care of your sleep. Take care of your stress. Support your metabolism. Move your body. Protect your brain. And remember, after midlife, the goal isn't forcing performance, it's restoring coordination. That's where real cognitive longevity begins.